Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bronx Tales with your host, Bronx CB, and me, I'm Logan. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. So, hey, listen, as we approach the trial for the Idaho4 versus Brian Koberger, we have a lot of questions. There's a lot of stuff that is just not sitting right with us, and we'd like to talk about them. So, grab a snack, grab a drink, get comfy, because we might be here for a while. We are, by any means at all, a pro-burger, right? We're just here for basic human rights. We don't know if he's guilty. We don't know if he's innocent. We weren't there. We'll never know. But I do have a lot of questions as far as the state and the prosecution, their timeline. It's just not making sense anymore. So today we're going to be going through the details of the things that don't make sense to us. If you have never heard of the Idaho4 case, just very quickly, on November 13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were unalived by sharp force. Maddie Mogan, 21, who most believe was the target, Kaylee Gonsalves, 21, Xana Kernodle, 20, and her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, who was also 20. There were 2 roommates who were home and awake at the time that this took place, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. And let's not forget Kaylee Gonsalves' Labradoodle Murphy. Although there's a gag order on this case, there has been tons of information that has been leaked to the public. Dateline recently put out a new episode, and apparently they have exclusive information, they said, straight from Koberger's phone and other information regarding the crime scene. Dateline is known for putting out information from the point of view of the prosecution 100% of the time. I'm just so happy these days more and more people are starting to think outside the box and using critical thinking and not just taking what mainstream media puts in front of their face as fact. Every person involved in this case had every chance to stop Dateline from putting out sealed information, considering there was, I don't know how many commercials for it before it aired. It could have been stopped. The leaks could have been prevented, but apparently nobody did that. Interesting. Something smells really icky here. So we're going to briefly touch on some of the questions that we have and what's not making sense to us or adding up. Just a disclaimer, this is my opinion and observation only. We are completely unbiased. We do not have a dog in this fight. Brian Koberger is innocent until proven guilty. Dateline claims that they have leaked exclusive information straight from Brian Koberger's phone. And I just want to say, impossible. So what do? Get the phone out of evidence and out of their little baggie and give it to freaking Dateline of all people? No, they did not. That did not happen. I'm telling you right now, that didn't happen. They don't have access to Brian Koberger's phone. They do not have access to tangible evidence that is locked in evidence. It's not possible. So that right there should tell you how the rest of the episode is going to go. We've been told since December 2022 that Brian Koberger was stalking the Idaho girls, even after Dateline supposedly got a hold of Brian Koberger's phone. Again, it didn't happen. We don't have any actual proof of this. Matter of fact, we've seen almost the exact opposite, right? He never once Googled them. He never once Googled their address. They have his devices. I'm not even sure he knew their names. We were told that he was pinging outside of 1122 King Road, and we've been told that one number of times he did this was between 12 or 23, yet the number keeps changing depending on who you talk to. There's also no proof of this. Yes, his phone may have pinged on a tower out there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that his physical presence was outside of 1122 King Road. That's not how it works. We don't have any context to it either, so we don't know if he was just driving by, Maybe it's in between his house and his favorite coffee shop, or his best friend's house, or a quicker way to get to another building. We don't know. We just know that they're telling us his phone was pinging almost in a pattern, which could also tell you that he could be just going somewhere else. We don't know if that means he was sitting out there. Mind you, he very well could have been. I don't know. I wasn't there. But he also could not have been. And just a quick reminder on how cell towers work. Just because it pings off of a tower doesn't mean you are right there. Cell towers can get full and your phone might have to use a different cell tower and go to the next cell tower that is not full. Could have been pinging off that because he was in the area, could have not been pinging off that because he was in that specific area, or even what he was doing there. We don't know. According to the prosecution, according to the state and freaking Dateline, they're saying that the perpetrator went in through the back sliding door, went straight up to the third floor where Maddie and Kaylee were laying in bed sleeping, chased Xana downstairs or followed Xana downstairs because Xana walked in on it. So they both down the stairs to the second floor where Dylan Mortensen's room was as well. Bethany Funk's room was on the floor below that. So they are saying that the perpetrator walked in through the sliding door on the second floor, the middle floor, the ground floor, went straight up to the third floor, did the deed up there, followed Xana down to the middle floor, unalived Xana and Ethan, and then walked out. Now, from my understanding, the layout of this house is a little bit complicated. And most news sources are saying that you would kind of have to know the inside of the house, the layout of the house, to be able to go in and go straight to one spot and then straight to another spot and then leave and do it as quickly as they're saying that this crime happened. They're claiming, prosecution is claiming, that this happened between 4 and 4:17 a.m. or in that time frame, 17 minutes around 4 a.m. is when the perp entered. According to Dateline, again, they had his phone, right? They didn't, but we're just going to go with it. Somebody would have had to know the layout of that house, and Brian Koberger did not search the layout of that house or to study it or know what he was doing in there or even where to go. I truly believe that it was somebody who had been in the house before and knew the layout to be able to go straight to one bedroom, straight to another bedroom, and leave. So in the video that Dateline showed us, the car pulled in the parking lot, back out, back in, back out several times before pulling in and staying for about 17 minutes as shown in the video. From my understanding, they're strictly using this video as evidence of a timeline of when the car arrived and left. In this video, I have a picture. We are seeing what looks like a white car, and the prosecution keeps referring to a white car that Brian Koberger drove. But I'd also like to point out in this video, you see the pumpkins on the railing. We know that they're orange and they look white. So in this video, anything that's lighter in color is going to come up as white. Anything darker in color is all going to look black or super dark charcoal. So we don't actually know if this vehicle is white in color. It could be anything that's just not black or dark gray or dark blue or whatever. So the girls returned from being out at the bar. They stopped by the grub truck. Apparently they went upstairs, chit-chatted. Everybody's home, including Ethan and Xana. Maddie and Kaylee are in the bed together on the third floor. Maddie, they say, is completely asleep. So if she's completely asleep and doesn't move, how does this so-called knife sheath, end up underneath of her? She would have had to have moved. I'm just strictly going by the prosecution, the state, their theory. It's not possible for the knife sheath to get completely under Madison Mogen if she was, according to them, completely asleep and didn't move. Never woke up is what they say. Xana and Ethan are on the middle floor, as well as Dylan in a different room on the same floor. Apparently there was a pretty bad fight between Kaylee and the perpetrator. And apparently this fight was so bad that even her father, Steve Gonsalves, says had the sharp force not unalived her, the beating to her face could have also unalived her. But I'm struggling to wrap my mind around the fact that this was not heard by either of the surviving roommates. I could understand Bethany being all the way downstairs, but the roommate Dylan just underneath of them, there's no way. She had to have heard it. I just can't fathom that she didn't. And the next one is apparently Xana, according to Dateline and the prosecution, ran up the stairs, saw what was happening, went back down the stairs, and the perp went down the stairs after Xana. I am also struggling to believe that this wasn't heard from either of the roommates. They are saying they heard somebody on the stairs, but to me, running up the stairs after one of them says, there's somebody in our house. She heard that just as a regular cadence. She heard that, but somebody going up the stairs, down the stairs, somebody else going down the stairs, after immediately following somebody being beaten that bad, that's a lot of commotion. She also hears, in her own words, quote, "Don't worry, I will help you," unquote. So she had to have heard the other commotion. There was apparently crying noises and a whimper and then a thud, which was heard on a neighbor's Ring doorbell camera. If the roommate in the next room in the same house didn't hear it. Another one is one of the surviving roommates said, which is Dylan, said she saw a man walking towards her as she peeked out of her room. She said he was, quote, clad in black, unquote. His face was covered in black, and he was holding a vacuum-like object. A vacuum-like And also, she says she was in fear, texting the other roommate, so scared it doesn't check or call for help at all. Instead, she's using Snapchat, saving contacts in her phone, taking pictures, deleting pictures, calls and chit chats with her dad, and a bunch of other stuff, just like a regular night. So when did she lose that sense of fear? And next, all of the doors in the house were open. Yet Murphy didn't have one speck of BLOOD on him. How? The perp is wearing the same thing when he left as when he came in. Whether he took off anything before entering his vehicle, because of the amount of BLOD in the house and on the perpetrator himself, there would have been some sort of iota of BLOD or DNA in that car on a thread, not visible to the naked eye, something. Dateline is saying that he rested on a chair and there is BLOD all over the chair because of that. I don't care how many pieces of clothing you take off. There's going to be something in your car. So we see this video of this supposedly white car, which is supposedly Kohberger's, pulling, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and then finally stops, sits there for 17 minutes, and then pulls out. But this is at the exact same time that they are saying DoorDash was delivered, which was at 3:59 a.m. We don't see that car at all. We don't see lights for that car at all. Could this car just be the DoorDash delivery looking for the house? Why couldn't it be? And then, maybe sitting there texting their friend or waiting for the next delivery to pop up to go get it. He's sitting there waiting to know what direction he's got to go next. I don't know, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the perpetrator. especially because it's at 4 a.m. and I don't think that's when it happened. I don't think that is when this crime took place. The next issue I have is the prosecution. It's in their documents that they're bringing to court that the roommates were sleeping. The roommates were sleeping at 2 a.m., according to them, I guess, until they wake up at 11 something, call a friend over, 2 friends, Emily and Hunter, because they sense that something is wrong and they're too scared to go look. Well, suddenly you got your fear back. Well, gosh darn it. And I'm not in any way victim blaming. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it, critical thinking and thinking outside the box, because I can't make sense of this. So they call their friend to come over because they're scared. Now, mind you, at least we know Dylan has been on her phone for the last 8 hours since the crime took place, or 10, after I show you what I'm going to show you. She was not sleeping. Why are they saying she's sleeping? It's very clear that she wasn't sleeping. Her phone activity supports the fact that she had been on her phone the entire time. They claim that they can look down the hall and see that Xana is passed out, and that's why they call 911 8 hours later. There was so much BLOOD that there is a picture of the BLOOD seeping outside of the house, down the side of the house. Apparently, Xana was laying in so much of it, it was a huge puddle. You didn't see that at all? And not to mention, as you make your way from Bethany's room downstairs to upstairs to Xana's room, you didn't see the red footprints at all? Because you had to have. And because you had to have seen all of that, why did you call 911 and say that somebody is passed out? That you think they drank too much and is just passed out? I can't wrap my head around it. And I'm going to explain why I believe the 911 call is staged. The time didn't take place when they said it did, and the 911 call, I believe, is staged.
911 location of your emergency.
Hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road. One of the roommates is passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, Bethany, we gotta go check. But we have to. Is he passed out? What's wrong? She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
So here we go. They call 911 because I believe they're directed to. In the 911 call, I believe it takes less than a minute for the police to supposedly arrive. Impossible. That's absolutely impossible. In my unprofessional opinion, allegedly, the police were already there. And they had to make this 911 call because they had to make it seem as if it was something that it wasn't. There had been 8 hours or 10 that had passed. And I do believe in those 8 to 10 hours, there was some sort of cleanup. I believe they were directed to call 911 by law enforcement. The amount of commotion in the background of the 911 call doesn't change when the 911 call is placed to when the officers arrive. 100% of the time when officers arrive, number one, you tell the dispatcher, oh, police are here, I'm going to get off the phone now. Number two, you usually hear radio in the background, the beeping, and you hear officers say something to the people that are standing there. None of this happens. It is the same conversation, the same people, the same background noise, the same people talking when the 911 call is placed to supposedly after the officers arrived. Because why would you ask a regular person, whether it be your roommate or the people you called over, if they have a defibrillator? Well, you know they don't. But why are you asking somebody that and making it sound like you're just asking a regular street person when you're asking the police officer? So then the dispatcher has to say, are the police there? And she's like, oh, yeah. Anyways, the next thing I have is we have Ring camera footage for all times of the night for that day. Why do we not have any of it for the 8 hours after this took place to when the 911 call is made? Why can't we see when the police show up? Because they didn't show up when you said they did, right? This is a video that I saw done by a YouTube creator named Outcast. I'm going to link his channel down below. He has audio from the Linda Lane Ring doorbell camera, and it is allegedly picking up the noises from the King Road house. Now, these noises are from the time frame of 2 a.m. to just before 3 a.m. So 2 to 2:30, 2:45-ish. And in my opinion, you can very clearly hear sounds of what sounds like a fight or something really horrendous happening at the 1122 King Road house. I personally definitely hear somebody saying the name Hunter, no, or Hunter, don't, and a lot of other things. I hear Maddie's name, Maddie, go. You'll have to listen and see it for yourself. Definitely check out Outcast's channel. He has great content. But if this is true, which it is because it's on Ring doorbell camera footage, that changes everything. Now, I also want to touch on something else. At one point, there was an interview with Steve Gonsalves, and he said something along the lines of, and I don't know where the shower curtain is, that's still missing. Well, I'd just like to say that nobody had him continue or elaborate on that. Nobody questioned it. Nobody said a word when he said that. But I just want to say that if this was done by somebody they know, and the 8 hours was for cleanup, that would explain where your shower curtain is. They would have cleaned themselves up, obviously taking a shower, but it wouldn't make sense for a random perpetrator to be taking a shower after committing these crimes in a stranger's home, getting their DNA everywhere. But it would make sense for somebody you know to do a cleanup and take a shower and then take the shower curtain full of red liquid that you just cleaned off yourself and have to get rid of it because that wouldn't make sense for a perpetrator to be taking a shower. So maybe there's your missing shower curtain, and maybe here's your real timeline. And if you have any other questions, post them below. Let's talk about them. This is crazy. I do want to continue with questions that I have and just say that Bryan Kohberger, according to Dateline, was Googling. They have what they think are these aha moments and why this makes Bryan Kohberger creepy and an unaliver, and it doesn't. It really doesn't. They say things like he was Googling females at 6 a.m. He's a college student, and so was probably a million other college students. That doesn't make him a bad person or even creepy. They say things like he was hiking after a pool party. Well, maybe there he was bored and there's nothing else to do. The people who said this was weird were also at the same spot. So are they weird too? They said things like he Googled Ted Bundy a lot. He was a doctor in cloud forensics. Which brings me to another point. All of these mistakes that they're saying he made with his phone, like him going to the crime scene and turning his phone off, he is a PhD in cloud forensics. That is an incredibly amateur move to make if committing a crime. I think all of us in the crime community would know not to do that, let alone somebody who studies this for years and years and years and years. That really would make no sense. Steve Gonsalves said that Bryan Kohberger called in sick to school on Monday following the crimes and that he had never called in before. This is a blatant, flat-out lie. Classes were canceled on Monday, statewide. Apparently, Bryan Kohberger also went to the doctor that week. Now, we don't know if this is a general practitioner or what kind of doctor this was, but I think it should be noted that there was nothing mentioned about him having a cut on his hand, a scratch, a scrape, a bruise, a black eye, a pinch, nothing. And I've had people say to me, well, we don't know what kind of doctor it was. I mean, he could have had all of his clothes on. He probably did. But I can tell you that when I go see my doctor, they eye me up and down to look at my body to see if there's anything wrong. That's their job. They would notice if there was something wrong. Hey, where'd you get that? How did that happen? Especially after a quadruple unaliving just happened. I understand that K-bar knives are made for combat and they have that little thing on the end of them for slippage. But this is 4 people fighting repeatedly. It's very common for perpetrators to get wounds on their hands from BLOD is very, very slippery. So apparently there has been a house made to scale for court, and they're calling it the dollhouse. It's a replica of the original house. Now, why would you? It's probably easier, but it would to make a dollhouse, but it would actually be better had they not torn it down and just have the jury go there so they can see for themselves. And calling it a dollhouse is very distasteful to me. I think that is very strange. I don't know why they're calling it that. The fact that they tore the house down so quickly after the crime had been committed screams cover up to me. Now, again, we do not have a dog in this fight. He very well could have committed this crime. I'm not for Kohberger. I'm not against Kohberger. We're just here for basic human rights. This audio recording alone should really make you question the time frame and when this happened. Please do your own research. Please form your own opinions. Please look into this before you form an opinion on somebody who is facing the D penalty.
Screaming. So I gotta save that vocal so I can slow it down. I don't know what it says. Almost like Hunter, stop. Hunter, don't. Someone don't. Something. Let him fight? So that is the vocal, but this is two audios in one, so you're going to hear the voice here. Right there. That sounds like Kaylee saying Maddie, and then something really bad happens. So I guess we'll save that too, and then we'll go to...
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Bronx Tales with your very lively host over here, Bronxy B, and myself, Logan. And as always, be kind to everybody. Do something nice for yourself today, but most importantly, be kind to your dog.